Welcome to STLK in the UTA Jazz Podcast. I'm Conjo. This is Paul. We're back at you Wednesday, November 1st. Back in November, year's wrapping up, but jazz season is just beginning.
Happy Halloween.
So, today's a great show. I'm excited.
Yeah.
We get to wrap up a loss against Denver Nuggets, but an encouraging loss, if you want to ask me.
Encouraging loss, yeah.
I feel like that was an encouraging loss. I mean, they were a fantastic team, 3-0, and we lost actually 102 to 110.
So I'm going to throw this at you at the very beginning.
Throw it at
me. I think it's going to frame the way we look at this game very, very early. The last three quarters of the game, the Utah Jazz beat the Denver Nuggets 81 to 79.
So it came down to the first.
It came down to the first quarter.
I mean, this is what we've talked about before.
Yes.
It's not having to crawl back and chase points.
Dude, the Jazz are so good at staying competitive with whoever they're playing, whether it's the Magic, the Grizzlies who haven't won a game, or the Denver Nuggets who are coming off a championship. You said it last time, we rise and fall to the level of our competition, and we showed exactly that on Monday night.
I mean, we all knew, the Nuggets were heavily fatigued. Mm-hmm. They had just come off a back-to-back. And Jokic and Murray had played 30 minutes. So, at the beginning of the game, no one's tired at the beginning of the game.
No.
And so we knew that they were going to come out strong. So I liked how we came out strong as well. Because that's what we had to do. And as time went on, they got more tired and more tired and more tired, which opened up the floor for the Jazz. But it was still not enough to chase. We still were chasing a little bit more than we should have in that first quarter. We needed to do just a little bit more.
I think if I'm doing my math right, the Jazz lost the first quarter by 10. That's it.
Mm-hmm. I think halftime it ended up being 13. I think it was 45 to 58.
Exactly. But if you look at just the first quarter, that's where we lost the game because we lost by 8 and we lost the first quarter by 10. It's like, dang, we were right there.
Yep.
There was this time, I think it was mid third quarter, and I'm not sure if you saw this part of the game, where there was like 7 missed threes in a row and 4 of them were air balls and then a couple turnovers. It just looked like both teams were really, really tired.
Yeah, no, exactly right. And so, it was an encouraging loss, and we're going to break that down. Also what we're going to see today is what to expect. The Jazz actually play the Memphis Grizzlies tonight.
A winless Memphis Grizzlies.
A winless 0-4 Memphis Grizzlies. As most of you know, Ja Morant, their superstar, is not playing.
Suspended for 21 more games. 21
more games to some off the court things. And so, they're struggling. And then tomorrow the Jazz are on another back-to-back. That's 2 back-to-backs in the span of 1 week.
That's going to wrap up 5 games in 7 nights, which most NBA teams will only do 1 time per season. They had theirs the second week of the season, so they're tired.
Are we excited about that? Would we rather have it at the beginning of the season?
I would personally, because you look at the teams we've played, and all of them are really good. Like the four teams we've played are probably going to be top 6 seeds in the West, if not better.
Yeah,
especially with that James Harden trade.
Especially with it. We beat the Clippers before they just got James Harden.
Well, so there's a few
nice little sneak attack we had.
There's a few stats I'm going to break down here in a minute that are like, wow, how did we beat them? But yeah, so those 4 teams, I'd rather get them all out of the way at once, especially if we're going to lose 3 of them anyway. I don't want to play them after 3 or 4 days of rest. Let me just lose to them when I'm tired. It doesn't really matter.
So yeah, Memphis Grizzlies tonight. And then we run it back tomorrow against the Orlando Magic. They are 2-2, started 2-0. I've lost their last 2, but that is a young team. Honestly, similar to the Jazz.
Yeah.
They're even younger, which is crazy. We start to brought in, guys like John Collins and things like that. But the Orlando Magic are purely a drafted team.
Yes.
Every single one of their players, it feels like, has been drafted in the last 3 years. They have an insane core. They have an insane player. And I think soon to be all-star in Paolo Banchero. I think he's special.
He's really, really special.
He's special.
We saw it in the FIBA World Cup. He can hang with the best players and dominate games with the best players in them.
And I actually heard that he was the most vocal player on that entire roster too. On defense, everything, he's the most, he led the team, super vocal out on the court. So I'm excited to see, how the Jazz can, face off against
they're going to have their hands full because we've said this a handful of times on here, but the Jazz don't have the one guy, and it should be Lauri Markkanen, but you can't really burden him with playing the best defense all game. The Jazz don't have like a guy to go guard a 6'9" or 6'10". I'm not sure how tall he is. I know he's big to go guard him all game. So I'm going to be really interested to see how the Jazz throw bodies at him, throw different coverages. As far as the starting lineup goes, can we dive into that? Is it too early?
It's never too early, Paul.
The starting lineup.
It is never too early.
The starting lineup of Talen Horton-Tucker, Jordan Clarkson, Lauri Markkanen, John Collins, and Walker Kessler. Offensive rating of 90.7. Not good. A defensive rating of, are you ready?
I'm ready.
134. It's a differential of 43.
And so let the fans know what exactly those numbers mean.
So that means if the Utah Jazz played 100 possessions with those players on the court and no one else, they are projected, or I think they played over 100 possessions already, but they would lose that game of 100 possessions, 90 points to 134 points. It'd be, again, 43-point blowout.
That's wild.
Not sure why they're so bad at defense. I really am not, because Walker Kessler last game, and we'll talk about it, played really well.
I'm excited to talk about it.
Jordan Clarkson, never the best defensive guy. Talen Horton-Tucker, not known for his defense, but John Collins, he's athletic.
And that's just that starting lineup, correct?
That's just those five guys. I'm going to dive into the whole team in a little bit, but those five guys have a minus 43 differential. Is it time to start tinkering with the starting lineup? I know we've played the four best teams in the West. Do you think it's time to start tinkering with that?
I see both ends, right? There's always two sides to a story. Timeless tale, there's always two sides to a story. And I think, yes, it's absolutely time to start tinkering with it, but I don't think that's the biggest concern. Just because we're only 4 games in, like 4 games in is it's different. Like it's not a whole, I can't tell a whole lot. Would I like to see some tinkering? Yes. Are we surprised that we're not seeing it still? No. Just because it's 4 games in.
And had we been like 0-4 to the Magic, to the Blazers,
exactly,
to the Pacers, and to, I don't know,
yes,
like
exactly,
any other bad teams out there.
It's the sparks that like we're seeing that like gives, I'm assuming, Will Hardy that, you know, okay, like it's there. Mm-hmm. It exists. It's just not translating as well as they would hope.
And here's the other thing. They know so much better than us. Like, I like to
I can sit here and think all I want. I'm like, I'm a coach here. Like, I can do this and that, right? And it's going to make a difference.
I can look at every advanced analytic and be like, nope, they need to change it. But it's like Will Hardy's with these guys day in and day out. He knows what they're capable of. Do I think it's time? Probably, maybe. But then again, it's like he's making millions of dollars a year to coach this exact group. And I'm here just talking about it. So there's a level of to it that it obviously you have to trust the coach. And I don't think Will Hardy's making a good mistake, but I am excited to see how the starting lineup progresses.
Notable things from the Nuggets game. If anybody watched, they noticed Walker Kessler. Mm-hmm. I mean, literally on Monday, we were referencing a sophomore slump due to what everyone else is saying. And I mean, it's like he heard us.
Yeah.
He went out there, 22 points, 13 rebounds, and was actually 10 for 11 on the floor, from the field.
Really impressive.
So 10 for 11, I mean, that is, typically centers have the best field goal efficiency on the court, but still to go out there and go 10 for 11, that means you're making the right plays, you're taking the right shots, and he looked spectacular, especially against Jokic. I mean, Jokic is not known as a defensive, asset.
No.
But to still be able to hold your own, I mean, when Walker's playing defense on Jokic, I can't imagine how exhausting that is.
It must be exhausting. And here's the other underrated thing about centers' field goal efficiency. So, like, if a center goes 3 for 4 from the field all night, you're like, okay, like good, you didn't miss a lot of shots, but it shows that they didn't get in position to make a lot of shots, because I feel like their field goal efficiency isn't indicative of how good they're shooting the ball, because they're not really shooting it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's indicative of how good they are at leveraging their body inside the key, getting good position on the oops, on the just the one moves, whatever it is. And it shows that Walker worked really, really hard on Monday night, which is exactly what you want to see. Like, for him to shoot the ball 11 times, I don't think he's done that yet this year, or even half of that this year. No. And now he went out and shot 10 for 11. Mm-hmm. Like, that's really, really exciting and really encouraging.
Yeah. And Lowry got his 20 shots. Mm-hmm. I believe he was around 24. And he played good, 27 points. I mean, he did honestly everything he was supposed to do. Keontae came off the bench, as we know and love. played great. Even Sexton had a great game off the bench.
He did.
John Collins was 1 rebound away from continuing his double-double streak. That would have been cool to see.
Yeah.
Hey, but he played a great game. It was the John Collins show for the first 2 quarters of the game. He came out strong and he came out showing what he can do, and then it transitioned to somebody else and somebody else, and that's what I really liked. Is it doesn't feel like it's overpowering. Like it kind of just takes turn. It's like, look, I'm gonna facilitate my game right now, and then it'll translate to somebody else facilitating their game. And I think that is why it was encouraging, is seeing the successes throughout the game like that. And then third and fourth quarter we came moving. We had in the fourth quarter with about 7 minutes left, we had a 6-0 stretch where we just came out strong. Just felt like every single time we were getting a break, they'd hit a 3, right?
Yeah.
MPJ's hitting like a wing 3.
Those are daggers.
Or literally, I mean, it's like heart sinking.
Yes.
Like you're right there. You just scored 8 straight. You're on a roll. All you got to do is one stop. It's like when we play pickup, right?
Yep.
It's game point.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm screaming one stop.
Just threes.
No threes. I mean,
please, no threes.
They just need a 3 to win. And you're screaming no threes. And it feels like every single time I'm screaming no threes, a 3 gets hit.
Well, it's always off the craziest shot. Like MPJ, dude, when he rises up to shoot, he's like 8 feet in the air.
8 feet in the air.
Like even if you put a hand up, he can't see that low.
No, dude,
like
he elevates more than anybody I've seen.
He's such a talented scorer.
It's weird. I mean, they're not always going in.
No, they're not. But the confidence I have that every time he shoots, I'm like, shoot, that's probably going
more
in.
so every time he touches the ball, his shots getting put up.
Yeah, he's a really hard player to guard, and
it felt like Jamal. You know who actually really killed us that game?
Who?
Aaron Gordon.
Dude,
it felt like he was open for a dunk every single play.
Yeah.
Someone would just drive and they would just dump it to him, and he is just so athletic. He just goes up and dunks it.
So when I was trying to find the play of the game, there were like 10 different instances.
Hey, there's a little hint that we're getting a little Paul play of the game today.
You are from the Nuggets, but there's so many plays where I'm like, I could tear. No, do you know what? That's good defense. It's just better offense.
Yeah.
Like the way they move the ball and the way Aaron Gordon's always in that dunker spot.
And that is the Nuggets.
Dude, it's so hard to guard.
Yeah.
You cannot guard it.
There's a reason the Denver Nuggets.
They're going to win another championship, in my opinion.
Like that is the Denver Nuggets, is you can play great defense. In that second half, we saw great defense. But good offense creates those dagger shots that we're talking about. Those shots that just come out of nowhere, come on, when the other team is on fire, and just keep you one step ahead in the lead, right? They can hit a 3, but you're going to hit a 2 right after. Yeah, it's going to bring the lead a little bit down because obviously 3s are worth more than 2s, but that's always just going to keep that lead, in place, and you don't lose it nearly as easy. So
yeah, that they are really, really good at not letting other teams go on long runs.
That's a special team. Yeah. I mean, we knew what we were going into, and my keys to the game were getting Lowry 20 shots and Keontae 20 minutes, and we saw that, and it was again, Thurl was talking on the broadcast that being within 10 was a win, and as much as I hate that and don't want to agree with it because it's not a win. I mean, you look at the standings, that's definitely not a win. That goes as a loss.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is, staying within 10, losing, 8 points. And honestly, it got within 5, pretty consistently those last couple of minutes.
The game never felt like it was out of hand.
It never felt like that.
That's a win.
And that is a win. And I think that's why we say encouraging loss, is because it didn't feel like it was out of our hands. It didn't feel like a loss until we actually looked at the score.
That one game reminded me of all 4 Lakers Nuggets games last playoffs, where it's like, wow, the Lakers are right there, and then the Nuggets just win by 5 to 10 every game.
I mean, I'm sitting there and I'm like, we have this, and then I'm like, oh wait, we're still down 8 somehow. It's crazy. It didn't ever feel like that, but that's what the Nuggets do. Is even as fatigued as they are, they're jumping like that and just coming strong and can keep that lead. So
yeah.
Really exciting game. I mean, we obviously, like I said, we fall to the Denver Nuggets, but it's nice. We literally just played the Nuggets, the Suns, and the Clippers all in a row. Arguably the top 3 teams in the West.
Well, I think Sacramento is going to be up there as well.
Sacramento's absolutely up there. Yeah. And so you look at who we've played so far, and that's an insane schedule. So to be, 1-3, it's okay, that looks rough.
Yeah.
But you look at the teams we've played, and it's enlightening. So it's these games that are upcoming that I feel like are the ones that should determine a little bit more. I mean,
we should learn a lot more.
We should learn a lot more. I mean, obviously, this Grizzlies game might not be the best game, but like a game like tomorrow against the Magic, I think is a very, very defining game on where we stand with teams that are in the same boat as us, especially in a different conference.
Yeah.
I mean, Orlando being in the East and being in a similar spot, as young, trying to build, are kind of off the tank. Like they're not really tanking as much. They have the core that they can build. And I think that's going to be a really defining game. And we'll honestly touch on that in a second, but would love to, turn the time over to Paul's play of the game.
Let's do it.
For those of you, just tuning in, what we do is after every game, Paul actually breaks down some film, sometimes positive, sometimes, negative. And that negative, what it is to do is just give everybody an open mind on what exactly is happening and how that impacts the game, and kind of more of a pattern on how that impacted the game, and what we can do to fix it, and kind of give us an idea of what that looks like.
So the Jazz didn't lose the transition battle against Denver on
Which
Monday.
is what we'd seen in the past.
In fact, we tied them 13-13 on transition points. But it did feel like they were tired all game. Like we said, both teams were tired, but the Denver Nuggets just played a little bit harder. And I think that alludes to everything that we've seen. It's just they played a little bit harder. That's why they won by 10, and they're the better team. But sure,
again, we're playing against
the best
basketball player in the world.
Like, I think anyway, you can make any prediction about where his career ends. He's incredible.
I don't even know what to predict, man. He is an art.
So with that, I think he's one of the least athletic star players I've ever seen.
Ever.
And who do you think our most athletic player on the team is?
Ours?
Yes.
I mean, you look at John Collins.
Okay, good. That's the answer I was looking for.
Yeah.
So in this clip I'm about to show, Jokic outruns John Collins. And it's not even a fast break. Like, it's not like a steal. It's just a missed shot. It might have been I'm pretty sure it's off a missed shot. And Jokic just beats Collins down the floor. I'm going to show it right here.
Perfect.
So yeah, it was off a rebound. They passed it up to MPJ. It was a bad pass, or else he would have had to lay up, and Jokic just lays it up. I'm going to scrub it back. That's the whole play in entirety for you. So this is what gets me right here. So you look at, even right here, Jokic and Collins are in the exact same spot. Even right here, Collins is one step behind him. If you put them on the baseline and just have them race, Collins is beating him by 6+ feet.
It's the tortoise and the hare.
It really is, isn't it? So right here, when he passes it, this is when Collins should be in a dead sprint to the hoop. Like, Kelly's going to the ball.
And you notice too, no one, even though you play man, someone has to sprint to the hoop.
Someone has to play.
Someone just get back just in case they do a little dump to the middle, right?
Exactly. So he starts losing. He starts jogging here. And truth be told, Jokic, I don't think sprinted once this game. He's also jogging just a little faster. Right here, though, this is where I could love to see Keontae step in.
Not only step in, but just look at Jokic. He knows exactly what's about to happen.
No, he has no...
he knows exactly what's about to happen.
Like, he's done this a million times. He's about to get the ball and lay it up. Keontae needs to see this as well and just slide in. He just needs to slide in right there, either interrupt the pass, try to take a charge, do something, because John Collins jogged back, and Colin Sexton also jogged back. He made it from the 3-point line to half court in far too long of time, really. Yeah. He's one of the fastest players on the team. Anyway, Keontae doesn't step in. Collins doesn't jog back. And now we have a 6'11", 7'1", however tall he is, going up against our rookie, Keontae George. And I feel like that was really indicative right here, all game, of just really tired legs. I wouldn't say lazy legs, but a really, really tired team.
Yeah. And I mean, that goes to show, like you said, transition points were 13-13, but it's the ideology behind, if you can just get back there, you stop a lot of points, but also the Jazz doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you just run the floor, and we've seen it a couple of times, and like we broke down on Monday, Keontae just running the floor and doing his thing in the paint. But it's crazy how much transition defense is a factor. Yeah,
that's how games have been won and lost for us so far.
Yeah.
It's hard to watch when there's just a lack of effort. Because here's the thing: if we played like the Milwaukee Bucks or the Lakers or the Clippers, where they're really, really like athletic teams, sure, like we're gonna give up a few transition points. I don't think anyone looks at the Denver Nuggets and they're like, man, they're athletic. They're going to run on you because they don't.
Yeah.
That's not what they do.
That's not their game.
But again, we didn't lose the transition battle, but the buckets we gave up were really, really preventable, which makes you think like, wow, we give up 6 less points and all of a sudden it's a 1 possession game with 10 seconds left. What happens?
Yeah. So yeah, that's great. And so tonight, Memphis Grizzlies, like we said, 0-4, no Ja. Didn't even mention no Steven Adams.
We should have.
I mean, no Steven Adams is a absolute killer. So they're basically left with nothing.
Desmond Bane
off of a massive contract extension. And typically when people get extensions, they don't play as well as they did before. And I think we've seen that. I have not seen a whole lot about Desmond Bane yet. Marcus Smart also is a Memphis Grizzly.
Yeah.
Have not heard a lot about the Grizzlies, and it's hard to hear about a team that's 0-4.
So Desmond Bane, this season, he's playing okay. He's taking a lot of shots. Like he is their offense.
I would hope.
He is their offense. Against the Jazz last 5 games, he did the last 5 games because when he was a rookie, it doesn't really count. His last 5 games against the Jazz, he's averaging 25 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, which is really, really good.
He is in the Jazz killer board. He comes in and he shoots the lights out.
Yes, he does. And with that, he was only averaging 30 minutes per game. This season, he's averaging 35. Granted, 3 of those 5 games against the Jazz, the last 5 ones, Ja Morant did play.
Yeah.
So the Jazz weren't really focused on Bane. But he is playing more minutes, and he's shown that the Jazz have a hard time guarding him for whatever reason. So I'm really, really curious to see tonight, and I'm not sure if this is part of your keys to the game, but to see how we guard Bane and see if we let him go for 40.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough to say, right? Because I think Bane is a great player. A great player. Am I worried about Desmond Bane? Absolutely not.
Really?
Absolutely not. I think he can do whatever he wants, and I think we still take it. And I think my key of the game for tonight is what we just talked about, is transition. I think we need to win the transition battle, and we need to win the turnover battle, because it is really easy to come out against an 0-4 team and get complacent. It is extremely easy to do that.
It's extremely easy to come out slow as well.
Slow, because you know what you're getting. You're playing an 0-4 team. A lot of the times that's like, okay, we don't have to go as hard as we do against the Denver Nuggets because they are not nearly as good as a team. But the thing is the Memphis Grizzlies are going to come out as if they're playing the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah.
They are 0-4. They're going to come out playing hot against anybody, at least try to. And so I think what that's going to do is really just open up for the Jazz. I think it's just going to leave it up to their hands on how they want to play. So I think if we win the key, to the game tonight, I believe, and honestly tomorrow as well, is winning the transition battle and winning the turnover battle. I think we can easily win this game if we can just win those two, take those two stats and take them. So
I like it. Win the transition, win the turnovers. You're going to win a lot of games.
Yeah, and especially with the Magic as well. I mean, they are so athletic.
Really are.
I mean, you have Paolo, you have Jalen Suggs, you have Cole Anthony,
Wagner.
I was just
leading them in scoring this year.
Both Wagners.
Yeah.
They are special.
Yeah.
They are really, really good. They are really, really, really good.
So this stat, just to transition to the Magic game before we wrap up, you would think that they're a really good transition team. They're 4th to the bottom of the league. They're 26th in the league in transition points this season.
Perfect.
9 points per game. Well, hold on. I knew you were going to say that. The Utah Jazz in half-court sets are the worst team in the NBA.
Okay.
Defensively.
So you're proving my key.
Yes.
If we can just come out and do these things.
If we score a lot in transition, we're going to win. So the Jazz are giving up 112 points per 100 possessions in the half court. Their defensive rating is 112 to make that easy. The next worst team in the half court defense is the Washington Wizards, who might not win 20 games this year. And they're giving up 104. So there's a big difference there.
Big difference.
If we played 100 possessions in the half court, we would have a differential of minus 21. So to go back to the beginning, when we said if you play 100 possessions with the starting lineup, you're going to lose by 43. If the Jazz play 100 possessions in the half court, we're going to lose by 21. So just to back your key to the game up, and I'm glad, because we didn't talk about this, so I'm glad it worked together.
Of course.
The Jazz need to run, and they need to run really, really hard on the Magic, which is going to be really hard because it's their 5th game in 7 nights. They're coming off a back-to-back. Luckily, it's a home and home, so they don't have to travel. But they have to come out running, and they have to run all game long.
Especially coming off a back-to-back.
Yeah.
The Jazz are going to be coming off a back-to-back. Both games are at home. No travel, which is really nice. And so to come off a back-to-back and come out hard and beat that transition, I think that's our key to the game. And so, super great. I'm super excited. I'm predicting a win for both. I think we easily take the Grizzlies.
I do too.
And I think we need to take that and use it against the Magic and not get complacent. And I think we take two wins here.
And I think we're going into the weekend at 3 wins, 3 losses.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's going to look like.
And that looks fine. And so right before we wrap it up, we've got a quick little segment. It's called Conjo's Card. What that is it's a couple over and unders from this game that I'm going to predict that happens, and we'll follow up on Friday to see how those happen. So we're going to kick it right into gear with Conjo's Card here.
Do you want to do Underdog Fantasy? Let's do that.
Let's do it.
So Underdog Fantasy is a fantasy app that lets you pick over and unders just on player props. It's technically a gambling app, but it's legal in Utah.
It's a stat fact app in my mind.
It's really fun. You can jump on there. You can play as little as $1.
I like to prove what I like to see, right? I like to think, like we said earlier, we like to think we're Will Hardy sometimes.
Yeah.
And so this makes me feel that. Maybe it gives me some, assertion about that. So I'm excited. So Conjo's Card, there's going to be 5 of them.
5 of them. And if you get all 5 right, I believe it's if you bet $5 on it, and you guys can just go to the Underdog app and follow along with Conjo's Card. 5, I believe, wins you $100. Yeah, which is pretty cool. $5.
I'm doing it for the self-pleasure that I picked 5 out of 5. But the goal is 3 out of 5. If I can get 3 out of 5, Conjo's Card is consistent.
So here's the hard part, though, is I'm the one picking which ones he has to go over or under on. The first one, John Collins, over under 22.5 points and rebounds combined.
Over.
I agree.
Over. Absolutely.
That's actually a really easy one.
Over.
I think that's my favorite one. Jordan Clarkson, 21.5 points and assists combined.
This is against the Grizzlies?
Against the Grizzlies.
Under. I say that because I think we're going to get a big lead, and I think we're going to see more rotation players and not quite get that out of Clarkson.
I like that. And to back to your Collins, I think he's going to play extended minutes, just getting him more comfortable in the system, even if we're up by 30.
Under.
Okay. Colin Sexton, over or under 2 threes attempted.
Over.
Really?
Is this 1.5 or 2?
No, just 2. So it's either got to be 3. I guess it's the same thing as 2.5, but
so it's 2.5.
No, it's 2. So which makes it hard. It either has to be 3 or 1 for you to win. And you're taking over.
I'll take the over.
Just the over 2.
I like it.
Those lines are sneaky.
No, I like it.
Halves.
We're taking the over.
Over 2. Okay. Taylor Horton Tucker. 18.5 points and assists combined. Last game he had 18, I believe.
And 8 assists.
Okay, 18 to 8. So yeah, he hammered that last game.
Hammered it.
18.5 points and assists combined.
Over. I think he comes out with that same confidence from last game and just does it again. So I'll take the over.
All right, and last one. This goes back to your rotations. Walker Kessler, 8.5 rebounds. Over, under.
I love it.
Over. Okay.
I love Kessler.
Sure.
I think Kessler is going to come out after this game and show everybody what he was talking about. So I'm excited. That's Conjo's Card.
$5. If you were to get all 5 right, $5 wins you $100 in the Underdog Fantasy app. That's pretty cool.
That's awesome. So, we'll come back on Friday and see how Conjo's Card did. But hey, we're happy to have you. That was a great episode today. We'll come back on Friday and we will assess the Grizzlies game and the Magic game and prepare for the upcoming weekend games. So This has been STLK in the UTA Jazz Podcast. I'm Conjo. This is Paul. We'll catch you on Friday.